you guys, as it's one of the most budget-friendly monitors out there. I got it for, I think, around, I don't exactly know what it was at. I think it was like $30 when I got it. It was during the Black Friday sales, and it was like, I kind of wanted it already, and so I grabbed it during Black Friday. But let's talk about the resolution first. The resolution is the big jump, and it's the number one thing that people are going to be looking at this monitor and saying, oh, it's a 1440p monitor. The resolution jump makes a very appealing difference. I found myself easily able to pick out details and textures that I'd not really seen before. I was able to see very distant objects much easier. Anti-aliasing is still necessary at this point, but it was definitely noticeable. Like, the resolution jump was definitely noticeable across the board. Things don't look amazingly better, but they've most definitely improved. And objects in-game are just easier to catch, as there's literally more room for more information than on a 1080p monitor. For example, a soldier in armor at a distance might only fill 20 pixels on your screen in 1080p. In 1440p, he'll be taking up 35 pixels in comparison, making it both easier to see the soldier in the distance, but also enables you to more easily assess them, what gear they have, weapons they're holding, and what they're doing. Now, this does come at a cost. Having the pixel count of a 1080p monitor around 2 million, 1440p, on the other hand, has 3.6 million. That is 1.6 million more pixels that your graphics card has to handle every 144th of a second, which is pretty tough. This is directly a large challenge for your graphics card to defeat. You must both have a fast graphics card and definitely one that goes over 4 gigs of RAM. Otherwise, 1440p just won't run well. I run a GTX 1080. I use it for, encoding my videos and also my streams. But a GTX 1080 is overkill for 1080p gaming by a long shot. It's built for much harder tasks than 1440p. And switching from 1080p to 1440p didn't really make a big difference in terms of my frame rate, but if you have a like lower end graphics card, let's say like a GTX 1060 or even 1070 or anything in the mid to high end range, you will see a difference. But the higher up you go in terms of your graphics card power, the less of a difference you'll see. I think over a GTX 1060 you won't really see a huge difference when switching from 1080p to 1440p. Especially the 6GB variant of the 1060. Now, the Acer monitor supports up to 144 FPS, as I said before, which is more than double of the standard 60 FPS that most monitors can handle and what I've had before. From a person who had never seen that difference before, I don't think I've ever seen a TV or a monitor that went above 60 FPS. It's night and day. Moving my mouse around on the new monitor was noticeably faster and smoother. Even simple things like scrolling on a web page is just much easier. Playing fast-paced games like Battlefield 1, where you're in hectic firefights and many hostiles around you in close proximity and such, 144 FPS makes it extremely easy to control your aim. It helps you control your flicks, as CSGO players call it, and also control yourself just during firefights. Just everything about it is just much smoother. I was talking to my buddy Demomit, who he recently got a 1080p 144 Hz monitor, and I was saying that fighting in CQB firefights with 144 FPS is like fighting in slow motion. You just feel like you're in control. You can read things faster, and you literally have more than twice the amount of data you're able to use whenever you're turning quickly or anything like that. In 60 FPS, you can miss a lot of critical details whenever you're in a crazy fast firefight where you're looking around very quickly. And it honestly looks visibly different in-game. I know this sounds crazy, but it almost looks choppy compared to 144 FPS. And it sounds like I'm exaggerating, I know, but I can get side-by-side footage for you guys so you can see the difference in slow motion. Now, I'm doing this in slow motion, you guys might ask why, but you on YouTube are not able to see the 144 frames per second because whatever you're watching is probably either limited to 60 or 30 FPS. Most iPhones can see, most of the newer iPhones at least, can see 60 FPS on the YouTube app, but not on Safari. And most computers can also see the 60 FPS, I think most, like all of them should, unless you just have a really weird resolution. So make sure to set the video above 720p so that you're able to see the 60 FPS. Anything below 720p, like 480, 360, 240, 144, will be at 30 FPS. And I think 144 is actually at 15 FPS, which is really bad. Make sure to set it above 720p so you can see the difference in these comparisons. Now, on the right side, I'm recording at 120 FPS. I couldn't record at a full 144 because OBS, my recording program, just wouldn't let me. The left screen is recording the same exact footage, except it's recording at 60 FPS. I'm going to be firing a shotgun, and I'm also just going to be running around a little bit, and so you guys can see the difference directly in both the left screen and the right screen. Now these are both recorded in 1080p, not 1440, because I recorded at the same time, and I didn't really know if my hard drive could take 2 recordings at the same time, especially if one is going 120 and the other is going 60 FPS. But yeah, so here's the comparison. You guys look at it yourselves. As you can see with the shotgun firing in Battlefield 1, the frame rate of 120 FPS is much smoother than the 60 FPS, especially when slowed down to these lower frame rates so you guys can see it. In games like Battlefield, that FPS difference is huge. If you play first-person shooters that are fast-paced, I then definitely go for a 144Hz monitor. Overall, it's just easier to aim, to control recoil, to turn around quickly, to acquire targets, and more. And for the resolution part, it definitely boosts the amount of detail I can see in games, especially games like Arma 3 or DCS, which is a flight simulator, in which you commonly are squinting at the screen to see if a guy in the distance is actually a rabbit in a bush. You can't really tell. Overall, it just makes things at a distance in-game much easier to see. It makes details much easier to see. And so if you're a person that plays Arma, a 1440p monitor is definitely something to grab. The 144Hz won't really affect you much in Arma, first off because it's just not a fast-paced game, and secondly, it's never going to get above 60 FPS anyways, so it's not really necessary. I didn't really see a difference in the hertz in Arma, even when it went above the 60 FPS frame rate. I didn't really see a huge enough difference to say, oh, like, you know, this is a different thing, you know, this actually is a game changer. I definitely saw the resolution much more than I did the frame rate jump. Overall, I think the frame rate difference is the most effective, especially for those fast-paced games like if you play Call of Duty, Titanfall, CSGO, Battlefield. The resolution is definitely an upgrade, but if you'd like to be better at your game, I feel like the FPS will definitely do it. The 144 FPS is the smoothest thing I've ever done, like smoothest thing I've ever seen on a monitor, and it's absolutely going to change your game. It won't change your effectiveness overall, it just makes it much easier to see things. I would think it probably makes you better by like a good 5, maybe 10%. I'm not really trying to push that you're going to be better when you're playing with the monitor, but I can definitely tell with my own experience that I'm able to aim a lot easier than I did with 60 FPS. The resolution, on the other hand, isn't going to make you exactly better at the game. It isn't going to make the game, you know, isn't going to make you more efficient at the game, other than a very, very small amount of time when you need to see what weapon a guy has at a distance or something. You know, something like that. Maybe you'll have a difference, but it's not going to be, you know, a game changer. You're not going to be like getting a much better kill-to-death ratio in King of the Hill or something because of it. It's all about what you do in game that really makes a difference, but it definitely is aesthetically one of the biggest improvements you can get to up your game, to make you a little bit more efficient in games, and also just to make your game look a lot prettier and look a lot smoother as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Like
I'm sorry I haven't uploaded the past few days because I injured my back on my dirt bike. And these pain meds are making me super unproductive. I'll hopefully start uploading daily videos again, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. So guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.
Mosquitoes are biting me everywhere. I don't know why.
Knock them flat! Blood! 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 Their skulls.
This video is brought to you by Alienware, featuring Intel Core i7 processors. Start gaming.
Let's say that you're new to PC gaming. What are the first few things that you think of getting aside from your base PC hardware? Well, you'd get a mouse that you felt comfortable with, and then you'd combine that with a good mouse pad. You'd obviously want a good keyboard and a headset as well that provides good sound. When it comes to a monitor though, if you're not in the know, you'd be forgiven for thinking that one size fits all. You may look at the brand or a few selling points and settle for a monitor without actually thinking about your exact needs and what's best for the sort of game that you're doing. People tend to focus on getting the best hardware that they can afford, and sometimes, not always, the monitor is a bit of an afterthought. With that in mind, Alienware sent me 3 examples of monitors that cater to different people with different gaming needs, and I wanted to go through the benefits and perhaps negatives of each one depending on the sort of games that you're playing. First up is the Alienware AW3418DW. This is a whopping 34-inch widescreen curved gaming monitor. Now let's touch on the size first. This is a big monitor by anyone's standards, and not everyone is going to want to sit in front of what's essentially a TV-sized monitor. I've seen people using 32-inch TVs as their monitors. Just go to the Insomnia LAN and see it for yourself, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. Of course, this monitor is both widescreen and curved, so the idea of that is that it's more immersive, it maximizes your field of view, and it means that in theory you don't have to move your eyes that much to see the edges of the screen, which could be an issue on a bigger monitor. So let's talk specs. Well, this one's got a 21:9 aspect ratio thanks to the widescreen, allowing a maximum resolution of 3440 by 1440. That's a high resolution. It's not quite full 4K, but it's pretty close. That's got upsides and downsides, of course. For positives, games will look incredible. Frostbite games such as Battlefield or Battlefront will look insane at high resolutions because the engine is just extremely good at scaling. If you're into racing games like Forza or Project Cars, they too will look incredible. The problem here, if you want to call it that, is performance. To run games at that resolution, you'll either need to compromise on the fidelity or have an extremely powerful PC to have the grunt to power this monitor at its native resolution. Being honest, this isn't really the sort of monitor that I'd want to be playing multiplayer games on either, at least the really fast-paced ones. When I'm playing Battlefield or Fortnite-paced online game, I'd ideally want as many frames as possible, and I tend to play at either 1080p or sometimes 1440p. I don't want to run it close to 4K at the cost of frame rate. For single-player games, however, or racing games or space games where you just want to be really immersed